All right.
Yay! We're live. Okay, people, we were waiting on a couple of other hosts to get started, so sorry for the delay, but we're just gonna start with Olinda and I. Doesn't get any better than that.
Oh,
So,
I'm sure it does.
I don't know where everybody is, but I'm gonna check it out. Let's see.
I've got
Uh,
my coffee cup. It says, once a princess, always a princess.
oh, I like that. I
Even
have
though I'm
mine.
queen now.
And we have one viewer. Say hi. Tell us where you're watching from on one site there, and I'm gonna try and keep open some communication on the different pages if I can. It just gets a little challenging because sometimes it likes to kick us off if we have too many tabs open. So we just got somebody looking that they're supposed to be here. So I just got that message that they just looked at at the link. So much fun. Okay, let's see.
Where's Kylie and Sid?
Kylie, Kylie needs to be on here because she's like the queen of budgeting. I tell you,
See?
I'll have to send them a little. Let's see. Go on to the YouTube to see. Go on to the YouTube here. All right, live. Okay, showing live on the YouTube. Live. Just don't
Oh,
want to have any talking going on.
I was just
Yep,
going to say, I
got a
hope you.
message already there. So we'll go hello on there. So I'll try and keep an eye on that as we're going. It's a lot to manage when I'm streaming to many different platforms. So, all right. We will send a message over here. Just get started. 1 second. Let's see. Come on, my live.
I can hear you typing. You sound like
Like little mice in the walls.
yeah.
What? Okay, so we got some people commenting on the YouTube, so we're just going to get rolling. All right. Well, so far it's just Linda and I, two
Lucky
besties,
y'all.
two besties talking about budgeting. And man, oh man, do we have some experience with budgeting back in the day
The good, the
when
bad, and the ugly.
that's right, when our oldest, who are now 38, were babies and we had to get creative. And I was, not very good at it. But Olinda was the queen of finding things to do on a budget for free. So let's just say hello. Uh,
Necessity.
Hello, welcome to our girlfriend chat, the podcast where
Hello.
we dive into the depths of real talk on life, love, and everything in between. I'm your host and the creator of this awesome show, Tammy, and I couldn't be more thrilled to have you here with us today. This is my co host, Olinda, and my bestie and friend for life. She has no choice. We are your go to destination for heart to heart chats. We'll share stories, laughter, maybe a few tears from time to time. And that is why we're talking about budget. Although I don't know how much more fun this topic is. We were trying to go fun. And we were like, okay, we've had some really deep conversations, some like ones that have been way deep and, cry and, feel it. And we were like, it's got to be a lighthearted one.
We need to
And we
balance.
living on a budget. What? So here we are. So there's everything in between. So unfiltered conversations that make us feel connected with each other. We want to support other women and be supported ourselves. And so this is a nice, safe place for us to do this. At the end of each live, I invite anybody who has a small business to share their business, and I will eventually have a list of women-owned businesses that we can refer back to in our time of need for whatever the situation might be. So it's just another avenue where we as women can support each other, because there's nothing more important than having girlfriends to chat with and talk about everything. And so this is why I wanted to do this, and I dragged Olinda along for the ride.
Because I don't get out much, and I couldn't say no.
Not allowed to say no.
Find an excuse to say no.
And so Olinda is the budgeting queen.
No, don't go saying, no, I'm not an expert by any means, but I have learned many things through trial and error, and I have taught it. Well, I taught personal finance a few years, but not an expert, just got some friendly advice.
Exactly. And that is all there is, because I too am no expert. I've done some due diligence on the topic, but basically it's something I wish I did a little better at earlier in life. The importance of some of the things that we'll cover today are quite valuable, and something that I encourage young people to literally think about and process the information, because doing it earlier in life helps build your portfolio to look nicer when you get to be our age and we're like, oh, we gave all our money away to our millions of children that we have. So, but yeah. So it's like, maybe I should have said no more often. I don't know. But anyway, so today we're going to talk about understanding the importance of financial management and living on a budget as a key financial skill. So it really is a skill. And, you know, just like anything in life, right? You live and learn. And this is one of those areas, hopefully you live and learn a lot faster, because you'll benefit from it later on in life if you do. So I'm just going to kind of briefly cover what some of the things mean. And I'm going to ask teacher Olinda to interject wherever. I don't know if you just want to take over the talk, or if you want me to talk and then you just interject. But
well, I can just go over like some of the so Tammy, gotta give you props, because you did a wonderful, wonderful job of doing the research and getting some really good information to everyone. So if you want some specifics, Tammy's going to share out her outline that she did such a wonderful job on. I'm going to just kind of, I think, because in this hour, I kind of want to get just like down and dirty and just talk about like in general things that we've learned through life. And then maybe we can have like a second one to go over these things. So I'd love to give people time to go through your outline and then see about questions. But I kind of want to do like an overview first, if that's okay.
Yeah. So if anybody who watches this, whether you're watching it now or on replay, send me a message at tamsglamshop@gmail.com. I'll put it in the comments, and I can forward that outline to you to, you know, have a more in-depth description of everything.
And then if you have questions that you want to bring up at like the next part, like we'll have this as like part 1. And then if you have questions that pop up that maybe we didn't get to, if if you're putting them in the chat, that's great. But if we don't get to them, or you don't get to watch this live and then you have questions, put it there for us and we'll address it next time for you. So I guess like the main thing I can think of to really say is that it's okay. Like everything's okay, and everybody's been there at some point. Well, mostly everybody. I know we have been. Like I tell my daughter, because my daughter said, Mom, I really want you to sit down and help me budget. And I said, Janet, you're seeing me at a time of life when I have a little extra. No, I'm not rich. And when I say that, you're going to find out I'm lying. But anyway, liar. But But, I feel much more comfortable than I ever had when the kids were younger. So
Yeah.
she sees me like going out to dinner or doing this or doing that, things we never did when they were little. And I don't know if they remember just how much of a budgeter I was back then.
I
And
remember
so
the one place we would take them out to dinner was Golden Corral. We paid by their weight. So they like weighed like under 50 pounds. It was like, yeah.
so true. Even our big guy Mikey, we could get real cheap. And in our big night out was we used to go to Hopeville Pond, y'all, and
Yep.
it was free after 5. So we would go after work and go swim for like an hour and a half. And on our way back, we used to get, remember the 50-cent cones at McDonald's on the way home, and that was our
Uh-huh.
big night out.
Yep.
But it
So
was
much
so
fun.
much fun. It was worth it
Yeah.
until we all got sick at the pond. But
We won't go there.
but that's another story. But but that was like our big night out. But you find things like that. But I got to tell you, so a couple things. So one thing is, it's really hard. Like I love when people, throw things at you. Like you need to be saving and you need to put money into your savings. It's like, that's great if I have more than $5 at the end of my, my
Yeah.
getting paid and paying
Yeah.
all my bills. Like sometimes it's just, you've got to be realistic.
Yep.
So, be realistic of where you're at and don't beat yourself up for
Yeah.
not being able to do something at that time.
Yes. Yes.
It is very, so advisable that if you can, to put something away, thinking of, when you're older like us and, you're
Yeah.
starting to think of retirement, you don't have to worry as much because you don't. When you're 30, you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to put into that 401k right now. If it's something that you can do that is going to come out of your pay without you seeing it, do it,
Yeah, and you can.
But,
yes, exactly.
yeah, but it's so hard to say, oh, once you get it, to put it into savings. Like that is hard when you're really, truly budgeting on a dime. But one thing I got to say is it's okay too to go like this, And
Yeah.
I'm not saying just like what you have, but how you budget. I did a great budgeting when I didn't have much because I
Yeah.
had to. You know what I mean?
Me too. Absolutely.
We were constantly going back and tweaking and saying, oh, wait a minute, this has to be done and that has to be done.
Yep.
Got to tweak it again, looking ahead,
Yep.
saying, oh no, I can't afford that right now. Then what happens is you get a little better and you're at a little different stage in life. And these credit cards, we'll talk about that in a little bit,
Oh God, yes. Mhm.
come into play. And it's so easy to go, oh, I'm just going to put it on credit for now.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if there's anything that's a budget killer, it's
It's a
credit
credit card.
cards.
Yep.
More
It's a
so
credit
than
card for sure.
loans, more so than,
And
buying out of your meat. That is the true killer. But
I
there
have
are
to
times
you have to.
when you have to. So you've
Yep.
got to really weigh it. But
Yep.
we'll go over that. We'll go over interests and stuff and
I
be careful about
yeah.
that too.
I have
But
to say on the credit card thing, here I am in a really good financial situation in my life, and but I find myself going, "Oh my God, I didn't realize I spent that much
yeah,
on my credit card."
yeah.
And like I just looked at it last week and I was like, "What the hell? I didn't know,"
Mhm.
And so yeah, it gets away from you. So credit cards are dangerous. They very much are dangerous, and they're a good tool to have in your back pocket for if you need it. But we'll talk about other ways to get around that and
Yeah,
not put
yeah,
yourself in those situations, because if you are living on a paycheck to paycheck or pretty darn close to it, then those credit cards can really make your life sketchy,
yeah.
pretty
And you can
scary.
never get ahead. You can
You
never
can
get
never get
ahead.
ahead,
And they do that
especially
on purpose, and that's what we're going to find out.
especially if you're young and new to credit, and you have this credit that's new, or say you did have a bad credit rating at some point, whatever. Those interest rates are ridiculous. They're up
Oh
close
my
to
gosh,
30%. I mean,
that's
who can
it's
afford to pay up to
ridiculous.
30% on credit card? The credit card I use is 6%, and I can't stand paying them that interest on that. And so, yeah, it's
It
crazy.
is
Yeah.
insane right now.
Yeah.
It's worse than it's ever been. These companies, it's basically highway robbery. But
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
I'd say it's darn near close to like now where it never used to be. It used to be that was like, oh, a legit business, and then the paycheck cash, those
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
were, that
Yeah.
was like the bad stuff. Well, it's getting to be just as bad. So
Yeah.
um
Yeah. That's one thing I didn't even touch on the chat
oh God,
is
that
those paycheck places. Ooh.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, so the things we wanted to talk about too, y'all, was what this can do to your relationships. Like,
Mhm.
this is the key issue that can break apart marriages. You'd think
Yeah.
it would be like
Money, one of the
cheating or
number
this
one.
or that.
Yeah.
It's really not. Some
Yeah.
marriages make it past, affairs and whatever, and they don't make it past the arguments over money.
Yeah.
And that's not unusual.
Yeah.
So, I don't, we certainly, I got to tell you, we joked last time I said this, but it's really, really true. We have been married for what? We have been married for 35 years now, been together for 39. And it has been in the last couple of years that we have finally had our act together and found a budget plan that works for both of us.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what we did. And, you can see, does this sound something that would work well for y'all or not?
Yeah.
But it's just one way to do it. And so the one thing I found was the first off, of course, you got to talk about it when you're in a good mood. You've got to sit down.
Right?
I know that sounds really like duh, but seriously, like you
Mhm.
can't be heated and think you're going to settle this. So,
Mhm.
if things are getting heated, you got to walk away and say, okay, we're going to come back to this, because
Yeah.
boy, can it. I mean, thank God we didn't have any like weapons near us at the time when we were
Well,
starting this out.
like in relationships, right? There's two different kind of people, right? There's two people in the relationship, and they're two very different people usually. And one of the people I know in our family, there's some super spenders and there's some super frugal people. I won't name names, but I know who they are. They know who they are. And so, and so
Or you can have like ours. Like my husband says, you nickel and dime me to death.
yeah.
And he's right.
Yeah.
I nickel and dime. Like I do little things here and there, little things
Yeah.
here and there, like you said. And then you look and you go, oh my God, I spent that much.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
he doesn't do that. He doesn't do the day-to-day stuff. He does the, I don't give a crap. I'm going to pay $20,000 for that stupid car, that I'm never going to drive.
I have one daughter who's an emotional spender.
Yeah.
I have one daughter who thinks money grows on trees. I have one daughter who's so frugal, she won't even ask me for grocery money. And I have another daughter who's so frugal, she'll like freeze credit cards on her, other people in the family. And so it's like, it's so funny. And then I have one son who's so frugal and shouldn't be. He has the most money out of all the kids, and he's super frugal, and that's why he probably has the most
I was
money.
just going to say, that's probably why.
And then the one son who's like, he better be rich when he's done with school because he has the, rich man taste. And so it's really funny to watch the dynamics. But what I was getting at was a lot of times when you're in a relationship, you have one that's a spender and one that's not, right?
Mm.
And it's really scary if you're both spenders because that'll get you in some really big trouble because nobody's holding anybody accountable in that situation, right? So it's really a nice balance to have, one that's not, one that is. And in my personal relationship, I was never the spender. And I have to say, I was created into being a spender. I blame it all on them. But it's like, I was never the spender because I was, a single mom for so long. I was the only provider in my first marriage. I was the only one. He was never home and he blew all his money on other women. and stuff. And so it's like wasn't spent at home. But so I was very frugal. I was very responsible. I was like, so when I married Paul, I didn't want to bring any finance issues to the marriage. So I like honed in and paid everything off and, you know, did everything so that when I was in his home, there was nothing he had to worry about. And so and I worked and everything. And I, you know, I made decent money back in the day, but it was created when I met his mom, all the good fancy stuff, you know, and then Paul was like, stop buying those cheap ass clothes and go get yourself some nice clothes. Well, I learned the finer things in life. I learned all about it. And to this day, he goes, I can't believe my mom told you all about, you know, all the, you know, designer everything. I said, I know. I mean, she created a monster. Look at me now. But it's like, but you know, we have that little bit of extra money. Did I go overboard at some points? Yes. I became an emotional spender at some point in our marriage because he was always gone. And so I was always home. I was like really, really, you know, engrossed in the family. And I didn't have any out stuff really. I was like, my out things were like the PTA, the mops, the kids' classrooms. You know, it was always like all this like structure, And then there was no Paul, you know, he was traveling all the darn time, every which way. And so I remember this one year so upset because he was gone all the time that I spent thousands of dollars. It was the first time I ever did that on myself. And I thought I was doing it to make him mad. And it turned out he didn't care. And I was like sick to my stomach. So he knew that he didn't need to be mad at me. I was going to beat my own self up over it. And I did. And so I'm more of a spender on the family, although, you know, I did buy a whole lot of wigs, but you know, it's my business and I do own a whole lot of purses, but that's the one thing that I enjoy. And so, but I don't really, I shop for myself at the most frugal places, Amazon, Costco, you know, I do. I get most of everything I need at those two places. And I don't spend a lot of money. I do spend a lot of money on my children. You know, I pay their rents, I pay their phones, I pay and you know,
and when Tammy says children, y'all, they're all out of the house. Like they're not children.
They're 21 to 38.
Yeah. So when we start saying like the stuff we do for the children, they're not children anymore. And she's much worse than I am. My children have gotten to the point where we're not doing, thank God, but we did for the longest time. So I'm not judging you on that one at all.
Yeah. She gave a credit card to one child for years and years and years and let him live on it. And so, so no, we've done our fair share of giving. And that's why we're here to tell you, you know, like you are going to live life where you can't take the money with you. And does that mean, you know, you shouldn't prepare for the worst? No, you know, you can't take your money with you, but you do need money to survive. And so, you know, being responsible is all in what you need to do for yourself. So we'll tell you what we did. We tell you where we made our mistakes, and we'll try and educate you as much as possible on some of the things that we found in researching through all of this stuff. But it's a balancing act, right? Because you want to live, you want to be able to go enjoy yourself. You don't want to be like this stuck in a hole. I can't afford it. But you got to be responsible. It's this fine line.
It can get away from you so quickly, and that's the point we're both saying, is that we have been really wonderful budgeters for a long time. Is that even a word? But you know, even we can get to that point. Like, I don't care. I taught financial planning and I've got myself into holes before. And you know, but I've got myself back out. But don't beat yourself up. Just say, okay, we got to step back, look at it again, go forward. And so when you sit down with your partner, really the thing I can say the most is at some point, because like we've both been there, where we try to hide the information from the other because it gets out of control. Even when it's for our kids,
Yeah.
And it's nothing that they would have said no to. It's not like, like I always joked with Ron. I'm like, he'd be like, oh, you did this and this and this and this. And it's like, and you would have done the same. Oh, no, I wouldn't. I said, Ron, would too. Because
Paul
it
would give
happens
his,
whenever they come to him and they say it, it's like, if he's the one that says yes, then that's great. But if I'm the one that says yes, it's a stupid idea. But in the end, he's going to the difference was he would gripe about it and then do it. I would just do it. I would skip the griping.
Paul would give every last cent away.
Like and he wouldn't gripe in front of them. He'd gripe to me and then still do it. So it's like, stop. And, and we've always said, like, you want them to have it a little easier than you did. So you do things for them, but we never didn't eat to help them. I mean, we weren't that, we got into debt because of it, but you know what? I'd do it again. So there's sometimes when you have to say that, you have to kind of weigh it, but
there's things,
the one big thing, I have little notes on the bottom. So Tammy, when you give these to everybody, when you share them, you can get rid of my notes. But the one thing was, be honest and realistic. And that means to yourself too, not just to your partner. So when you finally sit down and, like I said, be in a good mood, maybe right before sex, maybe right after sex, whatever is in the better mood. I'm thinking maybe sometimes it's before, because then you can kind of be like, well, if this goes well,
right, or not. But so one of the things is why I brought up the conversation on the differences of the people are, if you come into it with your partner and say, there's my son asking me how come he didn't get one of his things that he had me buy for him. I got everything but this one thing. It's like, oh my God. So anyway, he's 27 and he can't figure that out. But anyway, if you come at your spouse or your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, partner, and think that belittling them and attacking them for spending the money that they did is going to make it any better, it ain't. It's going to make it worse. They're going to now hide because they're still going to want to buy. So everybody's got to come to it in their own mind, right? They got to get to, no matter what it is in life, you got to get to that space in your mind yourself. Nobody can drill it into your mind. You got to do better. You got to do better. You got to do better. You got to want it yourself. And so no matter what somebody says to you, it's not going to make you change. It's not. And I've been on both sides of the spectrum, and it just isn't. You have to be ready for that change. And until you are, just learn the best that you can. And so identifying what your income looks like is the first place to start in these conversations. This is our income that's coming in. We have regular income. We have irregular income. Regular income is everything that you make at your jobs, your businesses, your jobs, whatever, everything that's consistent, that's consistently coming in on those paydays. And then you have your irregular income that's coming in. And those could be like things like birthday money, inheritance, bonuses, side hustles, things that are just randomly or sporadically coming into your income. Those could be used as, your money jar. You putting those coins in to save for a rainy day, or, a pizza one night a week, a month. So, distinguishing how much money is coming in on a regular basis and how much flutters in from different, things can be added to that. And then identify your set expenses. What does your mortgage look like? What do your utility bills look like? And then you're going to put your variable expenses, because you can, tweak that grocery bill in ways that Olinda and I got really, really creative with. You can get rid of subscriptions. You can reduce your TV packages, your clothing expenses, your transportation. You can tweak all of that to fit within the budget that you need to fit a little bit. And then, you have all of the recreational stuff that you like to do. So say you're like my son-in-law that I'm here in Missouri right now, he's a hunter. So, I don't know how much that costs to be a hunter, but I'm sure it's a pretty big money. I know he lives, he has his own land, so he doesn't have to go do that. But, all the equipment and everything goes, so you need to, when you sit down with your significant other, you need to put those two columns in perspective. This is what we have coming in. This is what we have permanently going out. Our mortgage, everything pretty much stays the same in these categories. And then what do we have left over for the fun stuff? And so, I do it on pen and paper. I've never used an app, but on my document here, I do source out some apps, and I put the free ones on there because we're talking about budgeting. And so, but Mint is probably the best free app that is out there. So that's on there. And then, and then once you get all the realistic numbers, put pen to paper for you guys, then what you need to do is then start talking about budget, categorize your expenses and set your budget limit and track your spending for, let's just say, okay, we're going to put this budget in place for the first quarter, the first 3 months, and we're going to look at it at the end of each month to see what it looks like and adjust, tweak it until you get it to a spot where you're like, I like what this looks like. I like what this is doing, and then, you want to revisit those budgets from time to time, and you guys will decide within your relationships how often you want to do that. If it's going smoothly and everything is looking good, do it, once a month, do it quarterly, do it whatever meets your requirement. But if somebody's not happy in that budget, you might want to, have more frequent conversations.
And that's where I was going to go to. So what worked for us in the end was to kind of work a little backwards and to remember. So, when we sat down, we finally realized, okay, there's a difference, this is the new thing that, well, not new, but what everybody's talking about. And it's true. There's a difference between being equal and being equitable. So like, when we at the time that we sat down for many years, he made a little more than I did. And now it's kind of turned around because he's in retirement and everything. And I make a little bit more than he brings in each month. So anyway, we have figured out a budget where it's not equal. We don't both put in the same amount. So be careful of that. So like, let's say, you're with your partner and your partner, gets in like 40% of your income and you take in like 60%. So, you don't want to both be then paying 50% of the bills. Like that just doesn't make sense. That one person's only bringing in 40%. You're not going to ask them to pay half the bills. It should be equitable. So if they're bringing in 40, then they should be paying maybe around 40, and sometimes a little less, depending. So like, that's the way we looked at it. We said, okay, I didn't look at it like, okay, I want each one of us to pay half the bills. We didn't look at it as, okay, we want it so that, each one of us is giving this much or that much for the bills. What we looked at was more of, okay, in the end, when we're done paying our bills, we should each feel happy with how much we have as our personal money.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So that, because a lot of our fights were over, well, how much did you spend on this and this? So we decided there should be money that I don't have to discuss. So like things that are left over, for me, I should be able to spend the way I want to spend them. Money that's left over from him, he should be able to spend it the way he has to spend it without having to tell me every $10 he spent, or me having to say, oh, you know what? I just bought this stupid pumpkin for, my daughter because it's fun. And I spent this much, and him freaking out over it. So we decided we're going to have our play money that we don't need to discuss with each other. And then I can buy him a present without having to say, oh, where'd that, $50 go? Well, that was your birthday present. I mean, that just feels weird.
So what do you say? What do you say to someone like me who has spent the majority of my marriage home raising
Yep.
children. And so, Paul asked me to leave my career when I was pregnant with Kylie. And
Yep.
so that's 25, almost 26 years ago. And
Yep.
so I went back in the workforce, 5.5 years ago. And then 2 of those years, COVID hit. So I wasn't even working. And now I'm not working again because of my health. And so I spent all of my time at home. So what do you say to somebody like that? So my husband made enough money for us to stay home.
Yep.
I felt like I was working just as equally as hard as he
Exactly.
was.
Yep.
And I should not have to report what I want to buy to him. And
So
neither
what
did
I
he.
would say,
He didn't feel that either. But people do feel that way. You're a
right.
stay-at-home mom. You don't have any income to share. So how do you tell somebody,
So
well,
what
yeah,
you have to then look at is like we still looked at it as our money and our income. So you have to see, remember, any income is ours.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's not you brought this in and you brought that in necessarily. Everything's ours. And then what we did was, like I said, I looked at it like, okay, you know what? Once we pay these bills, so we kind of like conjoined, okay, here's how much we get a month. We thought about how much all the bills were. And then we said, okay, from this, we have, let's say, $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
Play money, kind of, not, you know what I mean? Like left over from whatever, let's say whatever it is. And then we said, okay, so out of that, because we do each have our own income, I said, okay, out of that, we should each be able to have like $1,500 a month of spending money that we don't have to account for.
Mhm.
And we went from that. So you should
Yeah.
be able to do the same thing, even if it's one income. So
Yeah.
you could take a look at that and say, all right, looking at this, what should be our play money, or, the money that we don't need to worry about each month? How much can we afford to take and say, okay, this is for now? When I say play money, be careful, because this can also be like the stuff that just pops up. This is the stuff like, oh crap, I forgot grandma's birthday, or oh crap, I forgot this. And then we take kind of turns of whose does it or who feels it's most important. So like if it's my grandmother, I'll probably pay for that, right? If it's his, his wrestling thing or whatever that he wants to do, or he wants to go out to dinner, then he pays for it, and we kind of take turns of that. But that should be the same thing, whether it's one income or not. You take a look and say, all right, if we have, again, like $3,000 a month that we feel is play money, then each one of you should have like $1,500 a month that you shouldn't have to do. And we even have, now this doesn't work for everybody, but it's worked for us. We even have joint accounts, but I use one account, he uses the other. So we have accounts in like Fulton Bank. We have accounts in Compass Bank. The one in Compass is the one that I pay things out of. Now we're both on it. In case one of us dies, we can get it right away. We don't have to wait. But he never uses it.
Yeah.
He has his Fulton one that we're both on, but he uses it. Now, if there's an emergency, we both have a card where we can do it if we have to, but we just don't. We choose not to. And so and we also like decided that he has his retirement. I have my pay. He has, we decided that the rent is going to go to him because he's paying all the mortgages. So his income includes the rent that really is both of ours, but I count it as like Ron's income so that it just worked out. But it really isn't. But he also like when he's talking about the side things like your wigs and stuff like that. So like he works and he's a sub. So his sub money goes into his thing, and I don't even look at how much that is, and I don't care. That's like his play money. I have my second job that I do it, online, and that's my play money too. So, you have to find what works for each of you, but you are so right on that. When you're not working, that doesn't mean you're not contributing to the household, especially if they tell you like they want you to stay home, or wouldn't it work best for us if you stayed home? Then they can't sit there and like you said, don't belittle and be like, well, I bring in, like, I would never go, well, I bring in most of the money, so I should be the one to say what it is. Like, no, there's so many other things to that. And maybe I bring more money because they're not being able to go out because of whatever reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and you have to be realistic and honest to each other. Be as equitable as you can. At the end of this conversation, the big thing is Tammy's got it all down, y'all, with this with the outline that she did on, like, okay, first you're going to look at your income, then you're going to look at your out, and all of that. But the main thing is when you walk away from the table with a plan for you and your partner, that both of you feel
Heard and
heard,
acknowledged. Yeah.
yes,
Understood. Yeah. And so
and happy with the arrangement,
yeah.
as much as you could be with whatever consequences you're in. So you might be in a place right now that's financially not fun, but did you walk away and go, okay, I agree and we can
I
do
agree.
this?
Yeah, and it's better for us because, and so while you're at that table, you need to be discussing certain things, and those are short-term goals and long-term goals, what your objectives are together as a couple and individual as well, so that you both understand where you're both coming from. And so, like, for instance, you may need a whole new wardrobe because you got a promotion and you are a leader now in your career. That needs to be, spend some money because you need to look the part, those sort of things. So you have short-term goals, long-term goals. You want to address those goals and you want to come to terms with them together. You want to come to the table ready to talk. And so if you sit down and go, this is what I want our financial life to look like, this is what I'm bringing to the table, and you both do the same thing, and then you go, these are some of the goals I want to acquire. Like smart short-term goals are like things like vacation, holidays, spending and all that. Long-term goals are, of course, your retirement, paying off your house, your cars, whatever. And so there's this what do you call it, acronym, SMART.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so be specific, be measurable, be achievable, be relevant, and be time bound. And so in my outline, I describe exactly what each one of those mean. And so measurable, let's just say specific. It's like, I want to save money. Well, that's not specific, right? That's just like, everybody wants to save money. Well, what kind of money do you want to save? What is your first goal? What amount do you want to reach? Okay. So your specific amount is this. And so make sure it's measurable. Can you track it? Can you, show progress? Can, even if it's like we stated early in the game, if you're in a situation where you're right now can't even afford to put, $50 in the savings account, put $5, do a little something so that you see that goal is slowly creeping up, because it's crazy how fast time goes and how that $5 now is like $60 in a year. You know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but over time, your finances are going to change. They will improve. You may get a promotion, you may get to a different job, whatever, your finances will improve if you just keep working towards your goals all the time. Just like always keep them in the back of your mind. They should be attainable, they should be realistic, they should be relevant, so they should match your personal values. It shouldn't be something so ridiculously out of touch, like spend a week on a Tahiti island that's going to cost you 20 grand. I mean, that's what I want to do, but and I will do that, but I'm in that place where I can now think about those kind of goals. And so prioritize your goals, always assess and urgency, consider the impact, balance your short term versus your long term, be flexible, and create a hierarchy. And what I mean by that is always make sure you're putting the things that need to be paid first, right? So I know I have listened to them. There'll be naysayers out there that say pay yourself first. And yes, that there's a truth to that. that you should take a small percentage and put it in the savings account before you pay anybody. There's a truth to that. A lot of finance people say that. However, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you got to be able to put the food on the table for those little mouths that are waiting for the food, so
Yeah.
so there,
Again, be realistic.
yeah, it has to be a realistic point of view to all of this. You can't just go, well, that finance guru just said put 20% of my income in the savings, and now your kids are like what, eating fruit snacks for the rest of the, I mean, fruit snacks are probably expensive, so that's not even something
Right.
reasonable. But you know what I mean? It's like, so that isn't reasonable for you in that situation. So put the spare change in a jar for now and treat them to pizza once a month. That might be the only thing you can save for the time being. You have to be realistic in what you're going through in that moment. And so
One thing I found for savings, y'all, that really helped when I was on a really tight budget, was if you can get into like a credit union and do like they have like the vacation savings, or they have
yes,
like
we
the
used to do the
Christmas
Christmas.
clubs.
Remember the Christmas books?
Yes,
And
we used
that's
to do
how
the
we did
Christmas
for Christmas
clubs
when we were
all
little.
the time. And
Mhm.
they would automatically take like $5 a week out of your paycheck, or $10 a week out of your paycheck. And back then for us, we didn't, our kids were little. I mean, that was when we could buy like 10 Ninja Turtles, and they were like, wow. And it was like
Yeah.
$50, and they thought, yay, and it's like you wrapped every single little thing to be like,
Yeah.
but when we did $10 a week, that's $520 that I had at Christmas time that I normally wouldn't have had.
Wouldn't have had.
And so we used to do that. We used to do like our Christmas club, and because I'll tell you, even like the jar thing, like it's so easy to be like, shoot, where's the money in the jar? Because you don't know. But then you couldn't take it out till Christmas. So you just had to,
Yeah.
you knew it was going to
Yep.
be there, but it was out of sight, out of mind,
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
Um,
and how many
and
times did we do the Christmas layaways even?
yes, layaway
Yeah.
was great. I wish they still had
There was
that,
no
but
interest. Yep.
anything you can do to kind of, get it. So like, okay, I know this is coming. This is what I need to do. That's when Tammy was talking about like your short-term goals and stuff. Um, also, think about, oh, what was I just gonna say? Like in a ditch. I just oh, when things arrive, because things are going to happen. The car just, the tire blew or whatever, and blew on the
Yeah.
side of the highway like us, in the middle of nowhere. But
Yeah.
you never know when things like that are going to happen. And
Yeah.
when they do, now that's where, if you have to use your credit card, then you use your credit card, but you
Yeah.
pay it off as quickly as you can if you have to. But you got to be, but also then when these things happen, that's when you sit down with your partner and say, here's what
That's where we're
happened.
at.
Even if
Yes, it
you
does.
did it,
Mhm.
even if you said, oh crap, I spent way more on Christmas than I needed
Yes.
to, don't wait
Yep.
until it becomes a mountain to say it.
Yep.
Say it before it gets to that. I'm right now in a great, like a hard place, because I had to go back to school for classes for my certification here, and it cost me a good 12,000 plus.
Yep.
I did not have that cash. It went on my credit cards. Hate
Yep.
to say it, haven't been able to pay it now. And those, like my interest right now, Tammy, is like 21 because I
Wow.
didn't get them. Here's another thing. We're going to talk about this next time, because I really do want to get into this, is how credit cards do the interest. So when they say it's like 26% interest, that's not just 26% interest on what you have. It is compounded daily, and we'll talk about that
Yeah.
daily.
Yeah,
So,
because I don't think people understand what that actually
right,
means. Yeah.
exactly, and how easy it is to then get into
Yep.
true trouble by doing this. So when
I
I
mean,
say
you're
if you're going to
thinking.
use it when you absolutely need to. For me, I had to do it because it was that or don't get a job. Like
Yeah.
so it's like I had to like bite it and go into debt now in order to have any income at all in the future. But I also know in the back of my mind, I can pay it off in a year when I can take out my TIAA, and we'll talk about that too. So
Yeah.
if you have a plan ahead where you can kind of get that better, then that's the thing to do. Otherwise, I would tell you don't use that and get a loan. And we'll
Yeah,
talk about
absolutely. Because then, yeah, student loans are a lot less than credit card
that. Yeah.
debt.
They're hard to
I
get now. They're
agree.
not as easy as they used to
Yeah,
be.
yeah,
But
unfortunately. So,
but there are ways to go around it that are better. Even if I had to, I would have probably remortgaged my house to do it
yeah,
instead of
yeah,
doing it on a card. And I'll explain
yep,
that next
yep,
time.
yeah.
But
I've used the mortgage, my
yep,
house
you
for
did a
some
really good
things.
job with that when you did that.
Yeah, I've used my house a lot. Okay, so allocating income. How do you know how much allocation needs to go to the different platforms? And so common guidelines, just real quick. Housing, allocate no more than 30% of your income to housing expenses. And that includes your property tax and your home insurance. So your mortgage, property tax, and home insurance should not be more than 30%. Otherwise, you become what they call house poor. And so then your utilities should not be more than 5 to 10% of your income that goes towards utilities. And if they
Oh,
are, then you need to be turning off your lights and unplugging stuff.
can I jump in here too?
Yeah.
Because I want to warn you all that, you know, financial advisors are going to tell you 30% of your income for your rent, for your mortgage, for your home.
Yep.
But realtors are going to tell you, oh, you are approved for this much.
Yep.
Don't listen to the realtors. Think
Yep.
about it. Do not buy the highest amount of house that they let you buy unless you know your income's going to go up. I had that one time, when I was looking at this one house and the woman says to me, oh, you should get the highest you can possibly get because your income's always going to improve. Not true. Be
Yeah.
careful. You
Yep.
cannot assume your income will always improve.
Yep.
Yes, normally we do get raises each year, but you don't know what's going to happen the next
Look
year.
what
You don't
happened
know
with
if you're going to
COVID.
get hurt. My husband got hurt on the job, and we made all these plans with his retirement figured out. And then he got hurt on the job and was forced to early retirement. And now, guess what? We're getting like a third of what we would have gotten.
And
And
that's,
now we have to plan our life completely
around.
differently.
Yep.
And
And
so
that's,
don't listen to those people who are trying to sell you something.
you have to be aware. Yeah, you have to be aware of your financial situation at all costs. No matter if they say you can afford a $700,000 house, but
Mhm.
can you really afford a $700,000 house
No,
and still maintain the lifestyle that you want to
that's
maintain?
right.
And that's the difference, right? Because sure, you can afford a $700,000 house, but now you're not going out to dinner 3 times a week. You're not going to go into Saks and buy whatever the hell outfit you want to buy or that fancy purse that I like to buy so often. You're not going to do that anymore because now you're house poor. And so, you just gotta do your finances. You gotta be knowledgeable of where your finances sit and what lifestyle you want to live with those finances and prepare accordingly. And so 5 to 10% for your utilities, up to 30% for your house, and food should not be more than 15%. It literally should be 10 to 15% of your income, no more. Now, if you have a slew of kids like I did, that's probably going to go out the door. But because I can't tell you how much money I spend on food, even to this day, because I'm buying for 3 households. I was buying for 4, but my mother-in-law just passed. So it's down to 3. So it's like 3 households of food is a lot of freaking money. It's a lot of money. But so debt, aim and allocate portions of your income for debt repayment. Be specific. Some people like to say, I want to pay off my low interest rate cards first. So they feel accomplished. If you want to do that, who's going to stop you? But most people say you want to start knocking down those high interest rates because you're paying so much more for those high interest rates. So you want to get those suckers knocked down. If you have, and some people don't agree with this term, but I do. I have a 2% mortgage rate right now. I would not refinance in this economy right now because I think the interest rates are up to like 6 or 7%. I don't even know. I haven't checked. But I would use my mortgage if I had like an enormous credit card debt. I'm just saying, if I had a lot of equity in my home and I had, say, 30, 40, $50,000 in credit card debt at what Olinda was saying, like over 20% interest rates, I sure as heck would use my mortgage equity to pay that off and only pay whatever the equity lines are.
Yeah,
And
because even if it is like 7-8%, you're
it's
doing
way
a
better
hell of a lot better than
20,
you
30,
are at 24, 21,
whatever those high numbers are that you're dealing with.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So it's better to use, if you're a homeowner and you have equity in your home, it's better to use your home to get yourself out of those sticky situations if you can. That is, a-okay to do. And then you just pay down your mortgage. You can pay extra amount every single month on your balance of your home. You don't have to put it towards the interest. You can pay it on your oh my God, why is my words missing? Not interest, but on the balance, on your premium. Okay. And so, of course, if you can save while you are doing all of this budgeting, save. A lot of people like to save 20% of their income. If you can, more power to you. If you can't, do as much as you can. Discretionary spending, you always want to keep it at a minimum. That should not exceed 10 to 20% of your income, depending on where you are in your budget. If you are having to maintain a strict budget right now to get your stuff in order, then you're not going to do a lot of discretionary spending. You're not going to get that 10, 20% of your income spent on a monthly basis on that, because you're going to be trying to put it away and pay off your debt before you do that. Now, does that mean that you can't enjoy an occasional splurge on yourselves? Paul and I, what we used to do, we never had time. We hardly ever ate out when the kids were small because, we were always like at sporting events, everybody was in multiple sports. We were traveling all over the darn place. So our eating out was usually on a trip that we were out of state on, like traveling baseball teams and all that stuff. Or it was like picking up a pizza to bake in the oven. It was like we did not have a lot of eating out experiences unless we were traveling with the kids, because we were always eating at home. I was usually trying to cook food and get them out the door and get to the next game and so forth and so on. But Paul and I wanted to spend time together. And so we didn't have a lot of time. So when he would get home, if we could fit in a coffee, we'd go downtown and have a coffee just so we could, like, without kids, talk about something in private, like, hey, mom, hey, dad, like it happens with 6 kids. And so we took a coffee date, because who can't afford a couple of cups of coffee, And so we'd go for coffee and split a sandwich, something like that. So there's ways around budgeting where you can still feel like you're having a date, but you're not spending a lot of money. Put the kids to bed, pour a glass of wine, and sit and just chat. No TV on, no nothing. You're just enjoying each other's company. It's the same kind of thing. So there's ways around, being strict budgeters. How much you decide to save is all going to determine what you as a couple come to an agreement on as to how much discretionary money you have and so forth. And so we already touched base on making sure that you have money put away for emergencies. And emergencies could be, anything from like your roof, your furnace, your AC, new tires on your car, a new engine on your car. Any of those things can be totally devastating to someone's budget. I mean, what does a roof go for nowadays? I mean, I'm sitting in my daughter's house right now, and she has a 4,000 square foot house and a 1,200 square foot garage on that house. And, I can't even imagine what the cost of this roof would cost. It's like, it's got to be upwards of 20K, right? I have no idea. And so you want to be able to afford those things and not put them on high credit. And again, if you could use your equity in your home to do that, more power to you. But even better if you had an emergency fund put aside to, start doing that when you're young homeowners, because your roof will last you. Well, mine is still going 28 years, but it's coming up. But I've had to put new furnace in, new AC, new water softeners, everything, new water heaters. Hell, I had to put 2 in because we had so many kids. But so, we've made quite a few adjustments there. So let's talk about, so I mentioned different budgeting tools and software programs in the outline. So like we said, I'm happy to forward those on to anybody and let you know. But Mint is the #1 primo budgeting app that is free. And of course, there's other ones out there. There's another free one that did a really good job that I researched, and it's in the chat. Identifying areas of cost reduction, spending habits, prioritize your needs over your wants. This was really funny as I was writing this because needs and wants. I mean, who doesn't battle that? I want it. Do you need it? No, of course I don't need it. I want it though. And I can't stop thinking about it because I want it. It's just like back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Then you got your husband in your ear going, you don't freaking need another purse. Oh my God. How many black purses do you own anyway? I don't know. I really don't know. A lot. Yes, I have a lot of black purses. They all serve a different purpose in my life.
I have one purse that I've used over and over, but it is black. Not gonna lie.
Okay, we all know that Tammy has a freaking purse fetish. I have the spare bedroom is loaded with purses. My walk-in closet has shelving all up. It's like all over here, all over there, all the way down. And if that wasn't enough, I have some packed away that I don't use very often, and I have some in a under the bed. Okay, so I have a purse fetish. Do I need them? No, I don't. Do I want them? Yes. I have, as I say, I have stopped buying purses. I look down and find that I bought this nice little cute, look, it's black purse. Why did I buy this black purse? Well, because this one collapses flat and it can go in my suitcase. So
okay,
when I'm
hold on. Here is the funniest part. She puts like 3 things into these flipping purses. She doesn't even put anything in them. Like, it is so funny. And then she just takes them and moves into the next one for the next day, which makes it easy to have a lot of these purses because she can do that. But I put 20 million things into my little tiny purse. And so I
probably hurts your shoulders
if I'm going to change it every freaking outfit. Like, no, it's going to be what it is.
Well, see, so I bought this one. It was a need.
I hate to carry them.
It was a need. It's I only do crossbodies now because I'm afraid of getting, robbed. And so
I hate carrying them now. Ever since COVID, I stopped. Okay, and then I gotta go after this. But I stopped buying purses completely after using purses in COVID because I was so afraid of touching germs and so many germs and everything. Sorry, y'all, I'm germaphobe. So I just wouldn't bring it anywhere because I'm like, I'm not gonna place it somewhere and somebody's gonna touch it and I'm gonna get COVID. So I would only bring my one. I learned how to just keep it in the car and I'd bring my one card into the store with me and that was it. So now I'm so used to not carrying a purse. I hate carrying them now. So I don't even, all I do is I wrap it up. I hide it in the car and I bring my one card. I hate bringing purses anywhere now. So it is so funny. So I have this one, seriously, that this tiny little thing. And I used to bring like all these big, remember the big purses everywhere. And now I have this one little tiny thing and I won't even carry it with me so that nobody then can rob me because I don't have anything on me. Yeah, and it forces my husband to use his money to pay for everything when we go out.
Yeah.
And then I have more spending money for me.
Now you're learning how to use your discretionary spending wisely.
That's right.
Okay. So if you have to go, you can, but I'll keep going on the chat.
Okay.
But
Guys, I'm so sorry. I'm a loser, but I have to get to bed because I get up at 5 and I'm exhausted. So, and I have to be at work early tomorrow morning. So, love you
okay.
all. I hope this was a little bit of a help, and we will do more later. Let us know like what other things like you really want us to go through a little more, and we will
In detail. Yeah. And I'll cover the rest of the chat while she goes to bed. But
yeah, she's awesome. Love you all. Bye, Tammy.
Yeah.
How do I get out of here?
Just click end.
Is there an end? Leave studio. Okay, bye guys.
Okay, bye. Okay, sorry about that. We got a little rambling there. So anyway, we were on managing and reducing your expenses. So what we want to do is just analyze your spending habits. When you're talking to your partner, you want to really be truthful and talk about everything that is in your finances. Okay, so you want to review your bank and credit card statements together. You want to understand where your money is going to, and you can do that by using those apps like Mint or a pen and paper. I'm old school, so I jot everything down in pen and paper, and then I color code things. But so anyway, so you want to look when you're doing this. You want to look for patterns that are showing your high spending categories. Okay. And so then you're going to prioritize your needs versus your wants. And that's why I was bringing up the purse that we got a little bit off track on. And so my wants are always, get another purse. But focus on reducing those wants and concentrating on the needs that are necessary to keep your household running smoothly and everybody fed, right? And so tracking your variable expenses, you want to monitor your variable expenses like dining out, your entertainment, and your shopping. These areas provide the most significant opportunities for cost reduction. So if you can literally go, listen, we ate out 15 times this month. That's a little excessive. Although nowadays, I know with my husband and I, eating out costs as much as me making meals, but I tend to cook fancy. So there is that. So it costs about the same. However, my daughter and I were discussing that cooking at home is usually way better than going out because we are better cooks. So it's all in what you're doing, and try and figure out what best suits your situation and where you can cut back. Try and find those areas. Research and compare prices for regularly purchased items to ensure you're getting the best deal. So we have this one grocery store. It's stupid expensive. However, I can't stand going into the least expensive one because it's dirty and messy and the meat is just not good quality. And a lot of times the produce wasn't good, but although the high expensive produce store has been really discouraging lately. So I've been going to a totally one out of town to get my produce. And, you just got to try and figure out where you can cut corners there. Audit your subscriptions, review all of your subscriptions. I just got a notice saying, oh, there's one thing I'm paying for I haven't used because my body has been in a lot of pain, so I haven't been able to use it. I got to cut it off. It's stupid to be wasting this money on something I'm not using anymore. So streaming services, magazines, gym memberships, you name it, apps. I got to cut off my children and all the Apple apps that I'm paying for them to have on their phones. It's just like, cut it all off. You'll be surprised how much extra money you find when you do that. So, you're going to set yourself some spending limits on your discretionary spending. So include your Apple Music, people. Don't forget any of those things. Include all those little things that just are hidden and automatically taken on your credit card. You want to make sure you're figuring out what those dollar amounts are. I get nickeled and dimed on those damn Apple apps from my kids, $2.99 here, $9.99 there. It's just ridiculous. Here is something that is so old school, but it works. If you are living paycheck to paycheck, you're going to laugh at this. Get yourself some envelopes. Go get those envelopes, and you put in those cash envelopes what This is going towards gas money. Here's $100. Probably that's not enough these days, but you know what I mean. And then, it's like, this is money going to eat out. Once you spend it, it is gone. You cannot use a credit card. You cannot, go to the bank and get more money out. That is it. You do that every month. You put in these little envelopes. Exactly. This is my utility bill. Of course, now everything's online, but you get my gist, right? So it's like, put the cash in there for your discretionary spending, and you'll be surprised how your credit card will not have any additional charges on it, and you only spend what you have. It is the best way to look. My daughter asked me today, Mom, you still have cash on you? It's like, I always have cash on me. Nobody carries cash anymore. They're just happy to go here's my debit card, here's my credit card. And then you're not tracking how much you're spending because it's too easy to swipe the card. So this way you can track your spending a whole lot better. There's a fire alarm going off like crazy out there. All right. And so avoid impulse buys. How many of us go, oh, that's so nice. And then you get home and you go, oh, maybe I'm not going to wear that anymore. I've done that. I think, oh my God, that looks so cute. And then it comes in and it's like, oof, and then you don't even want to be bothered to send it back. It's like, delay the instant gratification for a moment, a day, 2 days, whatever it takes to move past that impulse buy, but do it. Just delay your instant gratification, and you'll be surprised at how many times you can talk yourself out of spending that money that you didn't need to spend. Okay. Some of the other things that people are not aware of, I realized this when I was young. I was living in New Jersey at the time. I have lived all over the place. If you don't know me, you know. If you know me, you know, I should say. But if you don't know me, you don't know. But I have lived all over the place. My oldest daughter likes to complain about how many times she's moved in her lifetime as a child. However, I did so to keep improving my financial, situation. I always got a promotion or, better in my career. And so I was in finance and accounting and anyhow, so I was moving a lot and building my career. And one of the times I was in New Jersey, and one of my babysitters, her husband and her actually negotiated with retail stores, like would negotiate. I'm not paying you $10 for those pair of pants, but I'll give you $6. And they'd be like, okay. And I was like, you can do that in a retail store? Hell yeah, you can do that anywhere. You can call up your insurance agents, your phone bill, your TV plan, your internet. You can call up your bank account, your credit cards, and you can negotiate a better deal. And if they don't want to give it to you, you stop business with them. You'll get a better deal somewhere else. I guarantee you, you negotiate. You go into a grocery store and say, listen, this can is dented. I'll give you 10 cents off that can. They say, okay, because most people don't buy them. It's like, it's amazing how you can negotiate your purchases and your subscriptions, anything. It's really crazy. And I noticed that the girls were really, really young, and I was in shock. I would have never, I was a little too shy back then, but it's so true. It's like, I can't tell you how many times I have gone shopping on the streets of New York City. This is where all your negotiating skills. If you want to learn how to negotiate, go to New York City or LA and go into the fashion district and negotiate yourself to death. I'll give you $10 for that dress. I think I brought home 6 prom dresses from the fashion district in LA and spent $100. They were gorgeous dresses, and my 2 older girls had dresses forever. And so, I mean, you want to learn how to negotiate, go to a situation like that. You'll learn how to negotiate really fast. It's so much fun. My mother-in-law taught me. It was hilarious. So anyway, negotiate down with your current providers. Review and adjust your bills and your insurance policies to make sure everything fits nice and neat into your new budget plan. Okay. Next thing, to avoid your impulse purchases, don't go to a store without a list. I can't even go to the store without a list because I always end up forgetting something. But don't go to the store without a list and stick to that list. You do not need to buy anything off that list. You are only going for a specific reason, for a specific recipe. Just do it. Another thing on that note is plan your meals ahead of time. And when you go to that grocery store, you're just going to buy for those meals, and try and plan meals that use kind of the same ingredients so that you don't have all this excess stuff. And if you do have excess stuff, like the stems of your parsley and the stems of your basil and the stems of your cilantro, you just wrap it in some cellophane, stick it in the freezer, and you use those stems in your soups. They flavor just as well as the leaves do, and you're saving money. And now you don't have to go and buy those herbs for soups. And it's getting to be soup weather, ladies. So don't forget that tip. Use your cash or debit cards. Leave your credit cards home to avoid any impulse buying. Only use what you can afford. Only use the money you have that you can afford to spend for those different things. Impulses, implement a 24-hour rule or some kind of rule that'll change your mind a little bit about buying that outfit. Now, you see, I have this one little athletic outfit that I've been wanting to buy, and I've been looking at it for the last 3 weeks. I still have not pulled the trigger on it because I don't need it, but it's super darn cute, but I don't need it. So my daughter even said, no, Mom, you don't need it. So I just did away with it finally, and I have been looking at it for almost a month. I don't need it. So reduce the temptation, get rid of your retail emails and text subscriptions. How many times have you been distracted by a ding on your phone to go and look at a sale that's going on at some of your favorite retail stores, right? I have. I'm guilty of it. I go on there, go, oh, what? 40% off? Let me see if there's something I need. I didn't need anything because otherwise I would have been looking for it. I just got distracted and attracted to the sale. So get rid of all those so you're no longer attracted or distracted by the sales. Focus on your long-term goals and try not to be tempted. Easy peasy stuff, right? So build an emergency fund. Why? Because financial safety net provides you with the opportunity to pay for something that comes down the pipeline that is about to break and you weren't ready for it. And now you have to use a credit card. And depending on what your credit card rates are, could be huge. Say you have to put a new roof on for $20,000, $30,000. That's a lot of money to be paying interest rates on, right? So try and have that safety net saved up as much as you can each and every month to prepare for those rainy days and medical bills and any kind of horrible unforeseen expenses. To build this emergency fund, empty nest. Where's my head going? My son just texted me again. Determine the target amount, typically 3 to 6 months worth of your income. So if you're making, let's just do easy math, $10,000 a month, 3 to 6 months, that's $30,000 to $60,000. So that you want to have put aside. Okay. Create a separate savings account for that fund and don't touch it for anything. It's just simply an emergency fund. Set up automatic transfers so you don't have to do it yourself. So it automatically goes through it. It's not part of your discretional income that's coming in to pay for anything else. Investing and retirement savings. Is this important? Absolutely, it's important. Be careful where you're investing. Make sure you trust where you're investing. Make sure if it's through your company that you have a nice 401k plan, that this company is something that has been around for quite some time and you can trust that they're not going to take off with your retirement, because that has happened in the news just recently, right? Aim to save at least 15 to 20% of your pre-tax income for retirement. That includes your employer-sponsored 401ks or your IRAs, but plan to put away 15 to 20% if you can afford it. Most places will match up to a certain amount. 3% to 6% usually is within the ballpark. They will say, if you put 6% of your income in, we'll put 6% or 3%. But they don't typically go past the 6% mark. Most are average of about 3%. So if you're going to invest 3%, then the company will invest 3%. That's 6% of your pre-tax income right there. So then you can start buying into IRAs, and or if you have a financial manager, you can go to him and, be in a risk or non-risk type investment pattern, all depending on where you are in life. Depends on what kind of investments you should do, and your financial advisor can help guide you through that. So it is very important to diversify your money. It is never good to have all your money in one place. So, diversification could be spreading across various assets, your 401k, your IRAs, your savings account, your home mortgage. Your home is a part of your assets. And so by diversifying, you can achieve a balance between risk and potential reward. A diversified portfolio may include a mix of stocks, bonds, real estate, and other assets. So, go and figure it out together, you and your partner. Risk management and minimizing risk. Way to minimize, we talked about diversifying, asset allocation, stocks, bonds, cash. Research and education. You want to know as much as you can before you give somebody your money, because there's a lot of scammers out there. You have to be very, very careful. So consult a financial advisor, or if you know a lot about it, just manage your risk. All right, high interest rate debts. We talked about that a lot today. You want to minimize those high interest rate debts as much as possible. I only use 2 credit cards. I have others, but I use my Capital One because it's only 6% interest rate, and I use my Costco when I go to Costco. So those are the only 2, and I like to pay them off as I use them. There may be times where, my credit card has gone up a little bit, but we always pay it off as soon as we possibly can. I hate paying interest rate, and so should you. They are a ripoff. All right, so list your debts, budget for debt repayment, choose a repayment strategy. We talked about this. There's 2 types, and the one is the snowball, which is the one who likes to get rid of their small debts first so that they feel like they've accomplished a lot, and then tackle the large interest debt. It's mostly psychological. It's only psychological, I should say. It's a psychological win for you. And if that keeps you motivated and keeps you in the positive rolling down the road and paying off your debt, then, all the power to you. What financially is sound to do, though, is to keep paying on those low interest rate ones. Yes, of course, but pay down your highest rate cards first. That makes the most financial sound advice. Stick to your plan, keep it consistent, and stick to it. Make your debt payments on time, always on time. If you have to put them on an automatic payment, do so. I do. I have my payments coming out automatically every single month. I am never late for anything. I don't like to be late when I have an obligation, and I definitely don't like to be late with any of my debts. So everything is paid, and it's on a cycle. Everything is paid by their due date, if not the day before, and it is set to come out automatically. And then I make extra payments on top of that. I just take out the monthly costs that they say they want for their payments, their minimum payments, and then I make my own payment. So it's always on time. I never have to worry about, if I'm traveling, did I pay this? Did I not pay this? It's always on time. The worst thing you can do for your credit rating is to be late on a payment. If you are late and it's very not you, all you have to do is make a phone call and apologize for that late payment, and they will not ding you on your credit. They will not ding you at all if you are forthright with, what happened. And they're like, no problem, ma'am. We'll take care of that for you. So always be true and honest upfront with your creditors, and try and be on time. And if you do have a mishap, just call them and let them know what happened, and they usually have absolutely no problem with it whatsoever. So we talked about having periodic budget check-ins, and you can do this monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, yearly, or as needed, depending on your circumstances. So if something comes up, and you're like, we just had this major life thing happen, we need to readjust our budget. Easy to do. Just sit down and come up with a new game plan. Major life events happened. And so, having children, changing jobs, getting married, traveling, roofs and cars and all kinds of things can happen. So, medical bills, gosh, they could be huge, right? If your income changes, your interest changes. You should promptly account for those changes. Okay. You need to make new financial goals and decide how you're going to reprioritize your existing one and align your new budget. Stay accountable. And build a credit and financial literacy, understanding your credit scores. We won't get into what's your credit score? I'll tell you mine. Mine is very good. Mine is not very good. Mine is excellent. Excellent falls between an 800 and an 850. Was it always this way? I think so. I think when I was a single mom, maybe I didn't check, but I always paid on time. I always did good. I maybe didn't always have as nice of a income portfolio as we do, but I've always had I think my score was very good. It was usually around a 780 back in the day. Now it's in the 800s, but excellent goes from 800 to an 850. It indicates a very low credit risk and often results in very good loan terms, which we have. And so that's the benefit, right, of paying on time and paying your debt down and, just becoming a low risk, so that if something were to happen, you could take out a loan and it not be so crushing on your bank account. So, taking a loan out for 7% is not going to kill you, but taking a credit card loan out for 26.9%, that's going to kill you. So that very good is a 740 to a 799. It demonstrates, again, a low credit risk, and you'll typically receive another favorable loan. Good ranges from 670 to 739 and suggests moderate credit risk. You may qualify for loans, but they may not be as favorable, but they could still be pretty good. You might maybe get, in the double digit in the interest rates and that. And then the fair is a higher risk, and same thing. It's 580 to 669. And so, just in my chat here, we have a breakout of all of this. So if you wanted a copy of everything, I can send it on to you. Not a problem whatsoever. That's why I type them up. Poor is 300 to 579. This is pretty high. This is going to be the highest probably percentage rate you could probably get your hands on, and it won't be comfortable to pay off. It'll be nearly impossible, and would recommend never, ever, ever taking a loan out in that poor situation unless you absolutely need it. So be responsible with your credit card usage. Common sense stuff. Pay on time, manage your balance, avoid unnecessary debt, monitor your statements, and limit the number of cards that you have. Continue learning about your personal finances by reading books. I made a couple of recommendations. Some of the books that I really, really like. The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Really good book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Awesome book, highly recommended by a lot of coaches that I have dealt with. And another one that I've listened to, I read once, wrote notes on, and listened to in audio is Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. It's amazing how you can change your mindset by reading these books. Again, I'll read them to you again. The Total Money Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, huge insightful book by Robert Kiyosaki, and The Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. He is, I think he's passed, but it's an amazing book. And he has a workbook with it too, I think. But my husband and I, we read it together, and then we listened to the audiobook too on our walks. It's amazing. It's kind of quirky in the sense, and it's like, tap your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. You know, it's like, it's really funny. He laughs at me because he never does it, right? But I'm always on my walk going, I have a millionaire mind. I am a money magnet. I was saying this so often that every time we go on a walk, I was finding money all over the ground, like serious money, dollar here, quarter there. I mean, I know that doesn't sound like a serious money, but it was like, holy crap, I never saw money on the ground ever before. And I'm like picking up money on all of our walks. I have a millionaire mind. So you can take online courses. You can use these financial apps that I recommend in the talk here. If you want to use a free app to budget, Mint. Antio, my best friend that was on here earlier, she recommended that to her students. So she really liked it too. And I didn't know that before I did all the research. And then she told me she liked it. Subscribe to Financial News. Although this one I have a hard time with personally. I'm not very good at all of that financial news stuff. Matter of fact, I wish I did know it better, but and then attend seminars and workshops. I have attended a few. I just like the books better, but that's me. But yeah, and then consult a financial advisor. Financial literacy is an ongoing process, and the more you learn and apply, the better equipped you'll be to make informed financial decisions and achieve your goals. Understanding your credit scores and responsible card usage and continue learning are essential aspects to your financial literacy. So some more tips for living on a budget? You want to hear some more? I don't see a lot of chatting going on, but meal planning we touch base on, cooking at home we touch base on, using public transportation if you're in the city. Great alternative. Public transportation is a whole lot cheaper than filling your gas tank up these days, and the wear and tear on your car and parking and all that good stuff. Carpooling, if you are going in the same direction as somebody that you know, is always a good thing. Use coupons and discounts. I'm always looking for discounts on stuff. Matter of fact, I really like, I have to turn off all my notifications because I really like when I get, a text message going 40% off. And I'm like, yes, please. But so couponing, discounts, only if you need it, not wants, but needs. Practice patience and delayed gratification. We touched on this multiple times tonight. And cut back on your entertainment, your transportation costs, your unused subscriptions. Budget and benefits and encouragement to start living on a budget. It's a powerful tool that you can transform your financial life and lead to lifelong financial well-being. But not only that, it goes beyond your financial well-being, although that is huge, right? That is something that we all strive for. We all want to be comfortable in our life. We don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. I did that, done that, don't ever want to go back. I'm a survivor. I know I could do it again, but don't ever want to do that. I did that when my older two were little, and I have not had to worry about paycheck to paycheck for 30 years now. So I'm grateful for that, right? Knock on wood. But please forgive my background. I'm at my daughter's house, so I'm sitting up hiding in the bedroom because my grandchildren are playing. So anyhow, I don't usually do it in a bedroom because I think it's tacky, but this is our best bet for today. So sorry about that. But anyway, financial clarity, budgeting is actually quite rewarding. I know that sounds kind of corny and really weird to say, but it is. It's really rewarding when you start building your budget and you're a team and you're working together. See, I have to do it all on my own. My husband doesn't really care what happens with finance. He's not one that nickels and, he doesn't like press on me. He doesn't go, why did you spend? You can only spend this amount of money. You can only spend that amount. He doesn't get after me whatsoever. So that's why we don't have Christmas lists, because I get, I'm in a place where I can now comfortably go. If I want that, I get it. If I don't want it, whatever, I don't get it. But But and he's the same way. You know, we just do what we like when we like because we're at a comfortable place in life. But that wasn't always my story. My story, my first marriage, early on in life was tough. It was so tough. And he didn't contribute to any of the finances. He kept all his money to himself. So I owned my first house at 22 years old in New Jersey, right outside of Philadelphia. And I thought I was such a big shit for buying my first house. It was a little ranch, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, little ranch, and brand spanking new. I was so proud of myself. And I did it all by myself. And he never brought any money to the situation. And so I had to sell my house before I lost it over time because it was very hard for me to pay for childcare and a mortgage and 2 car payments. And I'm the only one bringing money to the marriage. So it was really hard. So I sold my house before I lost my house. And then I left him, and, it was tough. And so I had to really budget. And so, not ashamed to say, I lived in, Walmart. Walmart was my first place that, I would shop for, casual clothes. And there was a place called Filene's Basement that I would get all of my suits from because I could afford them, sort of. And so, and I didn't have credit cards. I refused to use credit cards. And I did, just like I said earlier, I used envelopes, and I put so much money in each envelope. And this was for the gas to get back and forth to work. And this was for our groceries, and because I was the only one doing it. And so, babysitting, everything. So it was hard. So I'm there with you. If that's where you're at, it's very difficult to figure out what's going to work and not sacrifice the things that are necessities, like food and childcare and gas to get back and forth to work, and suits that you're required to wear because, back in the day, we weren't allowed to wear pants. And so anyway, financial clarity, understanding where you're at and what you can and can't do, and, holding that money in your hand in envelopes and keeping those hidden so nobody else could find them and spend it. So debt management, prioritize your debts, what has to be paid and what doesn't have to be paid. What can you live with? What can you live without? Emergency funds, I didn't have any emergency funds when the kids were little. I just did the best I could to keep ahead of everything. Financial goals. I had financial goals. I put away for my financial goal was put away for Christmas presents, so I had a Christmas club for each child, and I would put money into every single paycheck for their Christmas presents. And I still put things on layaway at, different stores for them that, weren't going to be covered in that Christmas fund. And so those are my emergency funds, right? Financial goals. I always had that. I always put away in 401ks, always did that. Always tried to have a savings account. I still do. But one of the biggest pros to sticking to your budget is the reduced stress that you will have from hiding the situation from your significant other, or just, putting it so far back in the back of your mind that you don't face it. And so reducing your stress and anxiety over not wanting to talk about it and keeping it secret is so huge and so powerful that it's going to be like a new addiction for you. You're going to want to keep that stress so low and follow this budget because it makes you feel so much better. And looking at your month to month, seeing the progress that you have made is going to all be worth it. Is it going to be hard? Absolutely. It's probably going to take you 3 to 6 months to acclimate to sticking to this budget, because you're going to set it and then you're going to go, that doesn't work. And you're going to tweak it. And then you may polish it up a little bit more and a little bit more until you get into this routine that goes, now that feels good. We're still getting a little bit of a pat on the back where we get to enjoy ourselves, but all of our bills are getting paid. They're getting paid on time. We're making some debts, decreased. And and we're putting away for a rainy day. And so that in itself, it makes you feel huge. I know when I look at my bank account and I go, wow, it's so nice to have this dollar amount and not have to worry about anything. It's a huge stress relief because it wasn't that way. It wasn't that way. You know, I I'm blessed to be in the situation where we can afford to pay for our kids to be, you know, in school and all this good stuff. You'll get there if you follow these basics. Just pen to paper your budget or get the Mint app, but get your budget intact. And if you have any questions in regards to this, like, oh, Linda taught this finance class, so she can answer a lot of it. I did all the research on this course, and I am willing to share the whole outline to you if you are, you know, really looking for some extra help and ideas. You know, reach out to me. I put my email there, and I'll be happy to send the it's 14 pages of information. So, you know, I just briefly went over this as quickly as possible as to not keep you all night. But if you want any of this information and the outline sent to you, just send me an email and I'll send it right to you. That'd be great. I'll be happy to do so. If you want to continue this conversation, you have questions that you want answered, again, send me emails or messages in Facebook Messenger or here on YouTube. And I will get you those answers as soon as I possibly can. So go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube video, my YouTube page, and hit like and share if you like this video. And if you have any questions, be happy to help. But that is all I have for today. So I hope you learned a little bit. Get some note paper out and start pen to paper everything that you are spending, and look at your bank statements, look at your credit card statements, look at all your subscriptions that you're paying to Apple or Google and Microsoft and whoever else is out there, and slim those suckers way back, because you'll find some extra money in there that'll help you get some of those debts paid off, or get you out to a nice dinner one night, once a month, or however many times you want to do it that you can afford to do it. So anyway, so that is all I got for you guys tonight. I hope you enjoyed the chat, and I will talk to you in 2 weeks from now on our next chat. And I think it's going to be something to do with something fun, about fun things to do, crafts, or I have no idea, but somebody told me they wanted to do something lighthearted, and this is what they picked for this one. I was like, not sure how lighthearted budgeting is, but here we are. So anyhow, so I will see you guys on the next chat in 2 weeks from today. And until then, remember, stay glam. Love, Tam. And go check out my webpage on Tam's Glam Shop. There's a bunch of new wigs, 50% off, or more. So go check them out. Until then, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye for now.